Welcome to the first edition of the week in the English language on LTM TV. We begin with this story coming all the way from Bamenda. 2 thieves have been beaten to death by an angry mob for robbing and breaking into the house of a very prosperous businessman. That's happening in Tamulung, Bamenda, 2 municipalities. Worth noting here that the gang bangers are made up of 3, and they broke into the house, making away with a sum of about 300,000 francs Cfa. Let's have the development of that story with BrigadeAntiSardinard.
These are the corpses of 2 young men who suffered the consequences of mob justice in Tamulung, a locality in the Bamenda 2 municipality. Report says on Friday, a gang of 3 young men broke into the house of a businessman in the neighborhood and made away with a sum of 300,000 francs Cfa and some gadgets. The surprise that took everyone was that the said thief, who is a brother, regularly assists his elder brother in the sales of illicit fuel. From information gathered, he returned home during the day when he handed the lump sum to his brother's wife, and at night he staged a plot that led to his death.
So as he come that evening, listening to that, I think no, I don't open it, don't come back for morning time. Here, if I'm not go, I'm not go. If I want to discover why don't these false people, I don't hear now how a person will say, hook up. I don't hear now how they keep me on top of it. Hook up on top of it. I will come inside a confusion of I see 2 people on my phone. Black for 1 clear boy and 1 dark boy. Then I ran like man. Come, you see, I'm not a if I'm French, if I'm married, I say, no day. He say, you say give that money. You say all that money. Find the money. Gather the money. Give me. I say money no baby has. He say go gather the money. Give me.
According to inhabitants in Tamulung Quarter, this is not the first time such an incident is taking place.
Meet up them 2 around that kind 9 to 10. They meet up people junction here. They see my the one way there. I tell them say I no pay me money. I open my bag. I show them. I start some show them.
The population of Tamulung are calling on the forces of law and order to strengthen security provisions in the region and their municipality in particular. At first time, one of the thieves are still on the run with the funds.
Over now to the west region of Cameroon, and we talk about the Bati locality in the west region, which is well known for its fertile soils. It's rather unfortunate that these farm products cannot leave the farms to the market easily because of the bad nature of the roads, as we hear in the following report. These roads have not been making things easy at all for the farmers of this locality. To reach Mbuda, the sum of 2,500 francs Cfa has to be disbursed instead of 500 francs in a normal period. This road problem is not affecting only the Bati group, but extends to the northwest region. Not a very good sight to see. Transporters from Goketunja in the northwest region spend at least 4 to 5 days on their way to Galim against all odds.
See the man where they were from now. Military don't take them for. They don't take all money or telephone. Yes. The way we set the control, see we were there for 1 week. They were after they take our take money for we take we fund them. Yeah. Same will set the control.
The roads added to this is the insecurity, and the council as well as the army, most times they have to give away their phones or money to be able to pass to their various destinations. On to other news right now, we talk about mayors of the Northwest who have pledged for the digitalization of council civil status. It's worth noting that they said the pledge was made after a 2-day seminar organized by the National Civil Status Registration Office in the Northwest region of Cameroon, as we hear right now from Vilin Ama Akum.
Poised to ensure data collection and archiving from local sources to fit the national standards and prescriptions enshrined by the law, mayors of the Northwest have rounded up a 2-day training seminar in Bamenda. The seminar, organized by National Civil Status Registration Office, is aimed at equipping newly installed mayors on the recommendation of the state in line with the issuance and handling of civil status data. The situation of archiving continues to play a negative role to this move vis-à-vis the lack of equipment. This workshop, which saw the 34 council mayors represented, gave in a clear platform for the mayors being the direct actors to pour in worries as well as table recommendations.
Experience gained within 2 days. The training has been very enriching, especially for us who are just entering the council administration. So I think after this workshop, we are going back to my council, to our councils, to turn a new page. Over a short time we have been there, truly from lessons I've learned here, I've discovered there were a lot of irregularities which were going on because of ignorance. So with the questions I've asked here and the lectures that were given, we have been empowered, and I think it's going to be different on the field.
It is most uncertain to many Bamenda city dwellers of the Northwest region on a fixed rate for the establishment of birth certificates. By the government standards, this document is free. However, heavy cost continues to be shouldered by the local population, either for the purchase of communal and fiscal stamps, and in most cases, the role of the middlemen has further worsened the situation. Officials of Bunek Northwest therefore table recommendations which could better ease the treatment and collection of data, as well as avoid all administrative bottlenecks in the process.
Recommendations: improve on archiving, improve on data collection, work with the hospitals, and the hospital will make sure that birth certificates are established in within the time frame. Birth cards usually have to be taken from the hospitals to the civil status center. We're working on that. There's also recommendations on the fee that's paid when we do supplementary judgments. We all know about that. It's a Bako or in the Donga Mantung or Boyo division or Mezam, everybody will pay the same rate.
However, they hold that for an effective exercise, council authorities must improve on data collection, keep close links with hospital authorities as they will ensure birth certificates within the framework.
We now talk education to say some schools in the Kmer and Manu divisions of the southwest region of Cameroon have received some didactic material. This is in order to ease the education procedure and process for the school year 2020-2021, as we hear in the following report with Vilin Ama Akum.
A caravan from the Seed Military Battalion of the Rapid Intervention Battalion of the Southwest Region was in the campuses of 15 schools in the 2 divisions to hand over some donations to some learning institutions.
The big chief of soldier of these sent us here to be with you. Some academic material to give you. Material that you need to learn.
The donation started in Kumba, where 3 schools benefited, that is, École Maternelle in the station neighborhood, Cameroon College of Arts and Science, CAS Kumba, and Government Bilingual High School, Mabanda. They renovated classrooms, donated plastic chairs for nursery school kids, bookshelf, chairs and tables for teachers, over 500 exercise books, pens, pencils, erasers, math sets, and several computers to CAS Kumba and the other 2 institutions. The B caravan left from Manu Division and Bonge Subdivision the next day, where similar donations were made to schools in Ekok, Gesture, and promised to put them into judicious use. This is not the first time the Seed Military Battalion of the Rapid Intervention Battalion for the Southwest Region is making such donations. The donation exercise was led by the commander of the Seed Military Battalion of the Rapid Intervention Battalion for the Southwest Region, Lieutenant Colonel Maindong Desiree. The exercise is a part of a corporate social responsibility of the Seed Military Battalion of the Rapid Intervention Battalion.
Still in education, pupils of the Mbonge Practicing School have gathered together in a ceremony to celebrate the distribution of school supplies given to them by the mayor to
pupils of governments practicing school mbonge empowered with necessary items for an effective back to school. The pupils received school items from the Mbonge Council led by its mayor, His Royal Majesty Chief Daniel Mata Mukambe, in the presence of the divisional officer of Mbonge Subdivision, Otto. The pupils both all hand sanitizers.
Considering the nature of the environment, parents more of a rural area and more of as farmers, and having opened and asked the people to start school, we saw that there was needs for didactic materials to start off. It is the largest of the states, considering the decentralization exercise and practices which the country is embarking on, that we have the devolved powers to the council, local authorities, that we have.
And he reminded them on why it was important for them to keep their hands clean amidst this COVID-19 pandemic. This gesture by the council through the mayor was highly appreciated by both the parents and the pupils, as they gladly thanked him for supporting them. These supplies, according to the parents, guarantee the children's chance to learn and become better equipped to be responsible, productive citizens in the future.
I have not been going to school, and I have made us to go to school. Our parents will be happy.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
The news to the mass highly criticized by many people on the internet, on social media platforms, and on other occasions. We talk about this because many of the students, the pupils rather, and their parents have been hospitalized. So those who did not make it, they spent their lives, in fact they died completely. It's worth noting equally that a protest has taken place where people have gone down to the streets. From Mukete, the fourth of Kumba, has accompanied his people, and they have gone down to the streets October 25th to denounce the activities and the atrocities of the separatist fighters after these children lost their lives on campus of a privately owned college, like we said earlier on, called Mother Teresa International Academy, situated at the Bamileke quarter in Fiango Street, Kumbatu subdivision. What exactly on what they are supposed to be doing or what they are planning to do. And prior to that, we have been having several reactions from different people on the social media and equally on from politicians. One of them is Barrister Akere Muna, former Batone political figure. He comes back to this incident and he sends out a message of love and hope to the affected families. Let's listen to him.
The heart of our nation bleeds after the ruthless and savage killing and grievous wounding of children at a school in Fiango Kumba. Yesterday, Saturday, October 24th. My heartfelt sympathies to the afflicted families. Who can explain, or much less comprehend, that the most protected in any society should become the very target of such barbarism? What is this environment that now reigns in our country that allows certain persons to lose the mere basics of humanity and compassion? The perpetrators must be brought to justice. We should remember that collective punishment will not help against these forces of darkness. God bless Cameroon.
All over the national territory because of this incident this day, we shall in our own way observe a moment of silence for these 7 children who lost their lives in Kumba. So we shall be talking about this observation which was observed. In fact, the observation took place in several public and private schools in Douala, and several organizations have been sending out their messages of love and equally of encouragement to the families of those affected. Let's note equally that on the social media, the hashtag End Anglophone Crisis is still on course and it's still being shared almost everywhere. Associations of journalists, politicians, and equally those people that actually make things matter in the society. We are going to go to the international page now to talk about Ivory Coast. With only a few days to the October 31st presidential elections, protesters are ramping up pressure on President Alassane Ouattara to quit the race. The opposition is angry that
uncertainty on the streets of Ivory Coast. With only a few days to the October 31 presidential election, protesters are ramping up pressure on President Alassane Ouattara to quit the race.
We say no to the violation of the law and the Ivorian constitution. That's why we are here today protesting.
But the president is pressing ahead with his campaign, which supporters of the president say clears the way for his third term. His critics blame his ambition for the current political crisis. Adding to the tension, 40 candidates have been banned from standing in the election. 2 have called for a boycott of the vote.
We call on all our supporters to prevent.
It's created a climate of fear. Many voters have failed to pick up their voters' cards necessary for the electoral process. Ivory Coast is yet to fully recover from the civil war in which at least 3,000 people were killed. A government-appointed Truth and Reconciliation Commission to heal the wounds of that conflict. Plegnolo Jean-Louis is still angry at the mob that killed his grandfather and the government that failed to provide justice.
My grandfather had a small problem. People came to accuse us of stockpiling weapons in our house. Their search revealed nothing, but found United Nations contacts and others on his phone. That was his crime.
It's angry, unemployed young men like him who are on the streets protesting. Experts warn the current tension could escalate to a full-blown crisis.
On one side, you have an opposition that has launched civil disobedience. On the other, a power clearly determined to hold elections on October 31st.
Experts warn the current tension could escalate to a full-blown crisis similar to 2010. Turnout among the 7.5 million registered voters in a country of 25 million will be key. Some observers fear a high abstention rate during Saturday's election, and questions of the vote's legitimacy could follow. But the biggest fear is it will trigger post-election violence similar to that of 2010. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera.
In Spain right now, the government has declared a new state of emergency and ordered a national curfew on the efforts to curb soaring corona infections. One of several European countries keeps taking drastic measures to fight COVID. Al Jazeera once more.
One of a string of protests in Italy against pandemic-related restrictions. Demonstrators converged on the government building in Rome to denounce a nighttime curfew. They say it's shattering the economy. But on Sunday, the Prime Minister announced tough new measures, saying COVID-19 cases were rising dangerously across the country and placing pressure on the health system.
Hospitalisations to all citizens. It means to prevent a second complete lockdown like the one we had in spring. The country cannot afford it.
Bars and restaurants have to close at 6 p.m, although they can offer a takeaway service. Gyms, swimming pools, cinemas and theatres are being ordered to shut. And people are being strongly advised not to leave home except for work, health or education purposes. But so far there's no ban on travelling. Spain is going further, with a new state of emergency coming into effect on Sunday night. The country's desperately trying to avoid going through the trauma it suffered in the spring. The new law includes nighttime curfews everywhere except the Canary Islands. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez says the legislation will last for 15 days, but he'll ask Parliament to extend it for 6 months.
Da una cobertura jurídica, constitucional.
It gives legal constitutional coverage for the temporary restriction for 6 months of fundamental rights such as freedom of movement from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. It also gives regions the ability to stop people coming in or out of certain neighbourhoods, a city or a whole region.
The World Health Organization says Europe reported 222,000 new COVID-19 cases on Saturday, accounting for nearly half the global total. But addressing the World Health Summit happening in Berlin but also online, the head of the United Nations urged countries to think beyond their own borders.
We need global solidarity every step of the way. Developed countries must support health systems in countries that are short of resources. And we must join together as governments, the private sector, civil society and all partners to make sure vaccines, tests and treatments are available to everyone, everywhere. A vaccine must be a global public good.
On the edge of Europe, Russia's caseload remains the fourth largest in the world. They've recorded more than 15,000 new coronavirus infections every day for a week. But the government's repeatedly dismissed the idea of a new lockdown or shutting down businesses. An outlier in the response to the pandemic, at least for now. Nadeem Barber, Al Jazeera.
On this note, we close the curtains to this edition's news on LTM TV, La Télévision du Monde. Next rendezvous for information is exactly at 7:45 p.m. in the French language. Have a nice day. We are together again tomorrow, same time.
Danser comment, comme ça, comme ça, comme ça.